Well, thank you, Gail, for letting me be on your show today. I really do appreciate it. Giving me this chance to talk about my daughter's kidnapping. It was really traumatic for myself to see my daughter in such turmoil, and for my daughter. So, I had divorced my husband because he was a Vietnam veteran and he served his country well, but he had PTSD, flashbacks, dreams, and did crazy things. You never knew what he was going to do. And then, they let him drink in Vietnam. The water was really bad, give him dysentery, and they had a lot of drugs available. And so I divorced him in 1984, and then later on we moved to Rose Park area. And it's not a real good area, but the triplex we lived in was a really good area, and we liked it, and it was enough for my little family. I had 5 children at that time. So I was able to obtain work in the apartment, and I would work a couple of times, hours, 3 or 4 times a day. And then I had let my friend that I met at the women's shelter stay with me the first part of the summer, and it was in spring when she moved in, that's right. And so she had 2 kids, and I thought everything was fine, and I wake up in the morning with circles in my neck and upside down crosses carved in my neck. Now, to me, that's satanic. I just couldn't deal with that. But she actually left and took her kids for the summer. And so I was relieved with that because I wasn't going to let her in my apartment anymore. I wasn't going to deal with satanic people. So I was working one day in the apartments, and then I came home, and my daughter came running out, and she grabbed me in my legs, and she said, Mom. I go, honey, what's the matter? She was shaking like she was in shock. She was in bad shape, and she was crying, and I go, honey, what happened? Let's go in the house. So we went in the house. She said, Mommy, some boys in the neighborhood beat me up while you were gone working. I go, what happened? How did they do that? Mom, I don't know. I was just outside, and they hurt me, and they beat me up. So I gave her a bath. I wanted to see if they had done anything to her. So I saw that she had bruises all over her back where she'd been punched like that. I said, honey, that's not good. We need to find out who these boys are. You don't know who they are? No. And then I washed her hair, and there was a chunk of hair pulled out of her head like that. So I got her dressed, and I called the police up, and a policeman came over, and he said, well, not unless you know who these boys are, we can't do anything about it, but let us know if you find out anything about it. I said, okay, I will. So then I called her dad, and I told him what happened. Of course, he was upset. I'll find those boys. Well, maybe he can't find the boys because he doesn't know who they are, neither do we. Anyway, so it was time for her and my other kids to go to school. So my daughter was going to be in kindergarten, and my other son was going to be in 1st grade. So I said, I'm going to take you to the bus, and you're going to be fine. I'll take you there, because it came right in front of my apartment, right in front of my door. So I took them to the bus that day, and I said, I will be here as soon as the bus comes. So the bus came, and I came outside, and I was hoping that Amanda had a good day at kindergarten, and my son too. So she comes walking in the house. She goes, Mom, I know where I was taken. I go, to where? I saw the house I was taken to when I was coming home from the bus. What? Mom, yes, I saw it. I says, honey, can you tell me what happened then? Because I need the full truth. Whatever happened to you, I need to know it all. So we sat down on the couch, and she said, Mom, I was sitting on the porch, and our other daughter was attending the kids. But she says, I was sitting on the porch. This man in a white car with red stripes came and grabbed me off the porch. And he put me in his car. And he blindfolded me. And he says, if you scream, I will kill you and your mother. Oh my gosh. Oh, honey, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. She says, oh, Mommy took me to the house, and then we were on a bed. Now, I don't know if she's in a bedroom or where she was, but she said he hit me, beat me, he hurt me, touched me in places I didn't like. He pulled my hair. I said, and then after that, he went into the kitchen, and so I hid under the bed. And then I could see him from under the bed. And I saw him pick up a big red knife. That scared her. She saw the front door. She ran out from underneath the bed, got outside of the house and ran down the street. She was running when a couple from the neighborhood saw her, and they picked her up and they finished taking her home. And then she came running in the house, and then I came home shortly after that, and then she told me. So I said, honey, can you tell me where the house is? She says, yes, I can. She said, I've walked by that before with my friends and my brother. I said, okay, well, can we find it? So she says, yes. So we got in the car. We drove around the neighborhood. It was 3 blocks away from our house. It was in the middle of the neighborhood. And she said, that's the house there, Mom. It was a red brick house. And so I took down the address so I would have it. And I came back and I called the police. They sent a detective over. And I told him what happened to my little girl. And he said, well, you know, she's too young to testify. I go, what are you talking about? Too young to testify? She can identify the house. And the car she was taken in was there. A Camaro, white Camaro, something like that. There's also a truck there in the neighborhood too. I mean, at that driveway. And she can identify the house and the car. Well, that's still not enough evidence. I go, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Not enough evidence. She can identify the house and the car. Well, it's an ongoing investigation, and so an ongoing investigation. What do you mean? And he says, well, there was another little boy that was taken to. He lives across the street from the house. I mean, his grandmother lives across the street from the house. So they tried to take him, but he got away, and they were in a truck. I said, yeah, that's the truck I saw at the house. And he can't testify? They're still too young. This is an investigation. There's other children involved. I go, okay. How many people are in that house? 5 men. 5 men in that house. Are you watching the house? I need someone to watch me and my kids, so we're going to be okay. Oh, they would drive by once in a while, but my husband was watching over us. He was making sure we were safe. So, a few weeks later, it's hard to tell time. It was a long time ago, but I remember everything. We went to the store, and I took my daughter with me, and we're walking along. And she's holding on to the basket to the side. All of a sudden, she jumps into the basket. And she is frantic. I go, honey, what's the matter? She sits in the kid's seat and she puts her arms around me and she said, Mom, I just love you so much. I said, okay, so I love you too. And then I could feel this evil presence penetrating into my back of my body. Such evil. I felt evil before, but this was real evil. And so I turned around. I saw this man. He's about 5'10", medium build, maybe a little bit on the slender side actually, but he had dark hair. He appeared to be like Iraqi or Iranian descent, something like that, Middle Eastern. And he was staring at me, and he had a very evil look on his face. And that made me feel really sick. And so we went and paid. I went and paid for the groceries. We laughed. We got in the car, and my daughter said, "Mom, that's the man that took me." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I wish I would have known. I could have screamed and had somebody tackle him. But, she's, Mom, I was scared." "I know, I understand. But now we know you know what he looks like. I know what he looks like, too." So we went home, and I called the detective up, and I told him what had happened. He said, "There's still not enough evidence." I says, "Come on. My daughter can identify the man. I can identify the man. They're still can't do anything, still an ongoing investigation." I said, "This is just bull. What good are you for? We're here in the house scared to death, wondering what's going to happen next, if he's going to come in, break in, and kill us. I hope you understand that. This is not fun for us." So, and I'm having dreams that my daughter is dead in the windowsill. Do you understand the trauma, what we're going through, and the PTSD she's going through, and my PTSD too? I know all about what that is because I wrote about it in my husband's book. I know I hadn't written the book by that time. It was later on, but so he just took the report and he laughed, and I called my husband and I told him, what happened. So then I get later I get a phone call. No, I don't get a phone call, but sorry, I'm nervous. I'm trying to remember everything in sequence. So I get a knock at the door, and I go to the door, and there's this Channel 2 News van outside. And it was Michael Rawson at the door, a news reporter for Channel 2. He said, well, he introduced himself. He says, "Can I come in?" I go, "Yes, you can come in." So he said, "I understood your daughter was kidnapped." And I go, "Yes." I never saw it on the news. I never found out any information about it, but he knew. I guess it was on the news, but I can't find any news reports about it right now. I guess it's like they've hid it for some reason. But it really did happen. And so he wanted to know where the house was where my daughter was taken to. So I gave him the number, the address for the house, and he left. He says, "I'll come back." So I thought, what is he doing? Why is he taking the number down? Why is he going the house number? Why is he going to the house? I thought that was very strange. And so about 40 minutes later, he comes back. He has a piece of paper in his hand, and he says, they want you to call this number. I go, "Who?" "Person in the house." I go, "Okay." "Why?" I don't understand why they want me to call them. He says, "Well, they want you to." I said, "Well, I'll think about it." So I put the paper down, and he left. So the next day I thought about it, and I just, okay, I'm going to call him. So I call the number, and it goes directly to Donald Dalton, attorney in Salt Lake. Figure that one out. And so I told him the whole story of my daughter and what happened to her in the house, how she was grabbed off my porch and taken to the house. The whole story, the blindfold and everything. He started to cry. Yeah, he started to cry. I thought, that's really weird. That's very strange that he's crying. So he said, well, talk to my partner. I says, okay, I will. I'll talk to your partner. And then he says, I won't bother you anymore. Now look, this man, obviously, Donald Dalton, died actually in 2019, but I researched him. He knew the person or people in that house. Why was he crying? Why was he crying like a baby when I talked to him about that? He was just sobbing, sobbing and sobbing. So it was a couple of nights later, I had heard that a man, a week or so, had been put in a 7-Eleven dumpster and he was dead. I thought, wow, I wonder who that was. So I called the detective up and I said, hey, what is going on with my daughter's case? I want to know. You have to find something out. You need to do it now. We can't live like this anymore. He says, the man's dead. I go, what? He's dead? And when did this happen? Oh, a couple weeks ago. I go, you're just telling me now? You're just telling me now that he's dead. I can't believe it. Here we have been scared to death, and you knew this, and you didn't let me know. That's just wrong. I said, who killed him and what happened? He says, we don't know who killed him, but he was castrated and his throat was slit. I said, well, he just obviously deserved something like that, didn't he? And so I'm glad he's dead. I am. I'm glad he's dead. He's not going to hurt anybody anymore. He's never going to hurt anybody again. But what about the other men that are in the house too? I'm asking about that. But the nightmare wasn't over. I took my daughter to therapy, and she went about 3 times with the Victims Protective Services, and after the 3rd time going there, she said, Mom, I do not want to go there anymore. They make me play with these dolls, and I had to touch wherever. I had to tell them things and touch them wherever. And I don't want to do that anymore. And I have to tell one person, then another person, then another person. I said, honey, you're not going back there again. And it was worse for her to do that. I mean, she went through what she went through. It was really awful. Then to have to do that. I don't like that kind of therapy. I didn't take her back. Later on, she just forgot. Repressed it in her mind and didn't remember. And I thought that was good for her not to remember at that time. So my little niece was in a park in Fresno, California. It was her birthday party. And they're all happy and got all these kids there in the park. And so when it came time for cake, presents, her little girl, my niece, is not there. She's not there. They looked frantically for her. One of the kids see her walking down the street with a young girl, and the young girl was holding her hand. So they ran down to get her and called their sister's name, and then that little girl ran off. This is what they do, though. They send children in to be friends with someone and get them to come to their house. Promise them candy or all kinds of fun toys or whatever. Because they're trafficked themselves. And so they do that to these children too. So then Elizabeth Smart was taken from her house. That was 9 months of hell that her family went through. I knew she was alive for some reason. I'm really glad that she made it through and got home safely. There was a lot of bad things that happened with her, though. She's speaking about her kidnapping, and she remembers that. And then little Rachel Runyon, she was kidnapped from her bedroom, too. They like to scare the kids and tell them they're going to kill their family if they don't come. So they do. But yeah, she was in the bedroom. She was found like 3 weeks later, and she was dead. And they're saying it's like it has to do with some kind of satanic. Well, that's all that stuff goes along in here in Utah. It does. So anyway, the sound of freedom is very important to see. It helped me come out to decide to talk about my daughter's story. I hope that other people come out and talk about what's happened to their children if they're able to do it. Because it's just going to help people believe more. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's real. And I saw Tim Ballard last summer in a park. He was speaking. He was talking about how he was helping with the other people that were with him and militaries going in and taking the children out of the tunnels. And my niece worked with him, and her job was to take care of the kids. The kids were hurt too bad, and she placed them in homes, good homes, not CPS. No, they're not good to have your children in. So anyway, I wanted to let people know, go see The Sound of Freedom. And is there any questions? I'd be glad to answer them, Gail. Thank you.